Our very special guest today, Kristen Brewer, is here from Sight and Sound. Good morning, Kristen.
Good morning.
I can't believe that. I think we have somehow crossed paths, but I feel like this is the first time we've actually got to sit down and talk.
Yeah.
And actually meet.
Yep, I think so too.
Welcome to the WJTL studios.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Great to have you here. Anybody want to say hi to this morning?
I do. I want to say hi to my husband, Ben, even though he's probably not awake quite yet. That's okay. And my kids, Sam and Jesse.
So you went to a refreshing mountain yesterday. You were doing some zip lining. How did that go?
Okay, it was good. It's definitely, I'm not a heights person.
Right.
But you know what actually helped me get over that was that Sight and Sound, because there are some really tall set pieces. I used to be on stage way back in the day.
Yeah.
And so, for me, it was like, look out, get a little woozy and move on. So I was like, thankful for my Sight and Sound stage time yesterday.
It's kind of like anything you do. Get a little woozy and move on.
Yeah, and then step off and trust that the cables are in place.
Right.
Very theater.
Yeah. I could see that.
It was really fun. It was really fun. So I went with my oldest, Sam, yesterday, and we had a blast.
How fun.
Great. Yeah.
Okay, so you're with Sight and Sound.
Yes.
Previously, you had Seen, which everybody here loves and raves about, and you did it here at the Junction Center.
Yeah.
And now you're at Sight and Sound. You're producing Daniel. You also wrote most of the songs, right? Or did you write all the songs?
Yeah, well, no, I wrote all the songs with the composition team. So, yeah. And so I've actually been with Sight and Sound. I was on stage back in, trying to think, I'm about to date myself, 2008. And then I moved into the story team in 2015.
Okay.
So I've been producing.
So you've been producing for a while.
Yeah, writing and directing. And
amazing.
Yeah.
So what is it about Daniel that you love producing and loved writing songs for?
Yeah, okay. So the research time is really sweet to me.
Okay.
So these shows take about 3.5 years to build.
Wow.
And so you take probably 6 months to a year at the beginning, and you really just dive into the text. You read the commentaries, you have the interviews, you process through all of the theological things that you can. And that never really stops throughout the process, but you've got to finish the script sometime. So you build the story from there. So I think that was what was initially really intimidating, because it's the book of Daniel. So it's, and if you have any familiarity with that book, it's dense, it's mysterious. But one of the members of our production team early on, Dan Deal, said, I just really want to unlock the book of Daniel. And that was the mission from the get-go was, okay, so we'll dive into all of the theories and the wildness of the story, take it off the felt board of Sunday school a little bit, because we know the moments that happen. We know there's a furnace, we know there's a den, but you don't always see initially how it all works together with maybe the visions and with where things were at that point in history. And once you start putting it together like a giant puzzle, it's really cool, because you see why this particular vision was special and actually hopeful in light of everything that was going on, even though, you've got monsters coming out of the sea and whatnot. So that is what honestly was the most exciting to me, is getting to put the whole story of Daniel together, as best as you can, and then getting to tell a cohesive story with design, with music, with scripting, casting, all of that. It was just such a cool challenge.
As a visionary, as somebody who is seeing this from 3 years out, once it was on stage, what was that like for you to actually see it come to life? It was
honestly, it was so surreal. I think I expected it to feel a little more like that's a wrap, and it was a little like, how are we here? It was such a blur. It was so intense, but the best kind of work, and so you get there, and it was just, it was a surreal experience, but so peaceful and so joyful. And hearing the audience responses has been just the sweetest thing, honestly.
So let's take you out of the storytelling element and the production element and go into the songwriting element.
Yeah.
It's storytelling and producing as well, but how do you say, okay, I want to embody this particular part of the story in this song? How do you do that?
Yeah. Wow. So I don't actually know. It depends. So the unique thing, I guess, for me is writing the script and writing the songs.
Yeah.
So you don't always have that. If you have someone who wrote the script, and then typically that will be handed off to a composer. Well, if I already know that I'm going to be at least a part of the songwriting, if not the songwriter for the show, it all just kind of flows together in my head.
Yeah.
So, it's sometimes the songs come first, and then sometimes the scene is kind of built around it, and then vice versa. But yeah, in the end, I usually am pretty happy with how the flow is. But what I really love is when you can tell what a character's voice is.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, like that musical style or that melody or that rhythm that attaches to the personality of that character.
Yeah.
And where they are in the story. A general rule of musical theater is that an actor or a character shouldn't be the same. Let me see, how do I say this? There's always a journey in a song.
Okay.
So they should never be the same at the beginning of the song as they are at the end of the song.
As they're going to be at the end.
Yeah, so whether that's an external journey or an internal journey.
So the song changes.
The song, changes.
Or they realize the change.
Right, yeah, there's a transformation. And what's unique about Daniel is we've got prophets singing. And so it's more like they're projecting that journey outward toward the people they're singing to. So
a couple of things. We're going to play a song called New Wind.
Yep.
Tell us about that. Give us a little setup for that.
Yeah, New Wind was the first song that came out of the Daniel process, and it was very unglamorous. Like most I don't know. For me, most songwriting is because I'm a mom, and we're all doing 20 billion things. So most of the ideas for me come when I'm driving or vacuuming or like going to the grocery store or whatever that is. And that's when my head suddenly starts to have space.
Right.
And so this particular song, we knew at this point we were committed to putting Jeremiah and Ezekiel in with the story of Daniel. So that's a big task, but we felt like it was really important because they were all contemporary prophets and they had 3 individual audiences during the same time. So theologically, that was really exciting.
Yeah.
So we're like, how do we do that exactly? And we knew we wanted the dry bones in there. And so it was just sort of not really sure how we're going to pull that off, but great. So I'm washing dishes and this melody just honestly just kind of deposits into my head. And these lyrics, inspired by the scripture, inspired by the prophecy that he received. And I'm like mid dish and I set it down and I run to my husband, Ben, and I was like, Ben. I was like, I think I found Ezekiel.
Wow.
I think I found him. And so I sang this initial line. He was like, okay, I think you've got something. And it was different than a style that I'd really written in before. So yeah, it was really a really cool moment. Very sweet.
Well, we're going to play that coming up. And another reason you're here is to talk about Daniel live. It's coming to movie theaters.
Yep.
How can we see it?
Yeah. DanielEvent.com has all of your details. So this is the first time we're streaming live into movie theaters. So that's a big, cool deal.
That sounds like a crazy thing to do.
Kind of.
Isn't there there's a lot of stuff that has to happen.
Yeah, we've got
to make that happen.
Like a dozen cameras, I think, in the house. And again, it's our first time doing it. And we know not everybody can come to us. So
so you're
awesome.
going to go to them.
We're going to go to them. Yep.
Very cool. DanielEvent.com.
Yes, DanielEvent.com. And we're live streaming August 30th. And then there's additional showings up through September 2nd. So if you go there, you can find tickets for your area. Okay,
so a song on the way. Daniel in theaters, live streaming, and later on we have tickets to give away.
Yeah.
Our special guest from Sight and Sound, Kristen Brewer, is with us. She is a producer, a songwriter, and you were a former performer at Sight and Sound. It sounds like you climb up on the sets and do things too.
Used to.
Do you take care of the animals as well? Or
no, but they let me hold the Maine Coon cat sometimes.
Oh, really?
That's
you have a Maine Coon cat?
Yes. So,
how cool is that?
Yes, I love this Sight and Sound animal in particular.
Yeah.
When we were trying to pick pets for the royalty.
Yeah.
So you've got Nebuchadnezzar, you've got Darius. He didn't get the cat, but you've got Nebuchadnezzar, you've got his wife Amethyst. So they're pretty significant characters in the story. And so we're like, how can, we have an animal that sort of is attached to them or represents them, or at least the queen. And I'm like, well, the Queen of England has corgis, so I don't think Maine Coons are, native to Babylon or anything, but they look really cool. So they're just
very royal,
these
regal,
big, royal, fluffy, white, tiger-looking cats, but they're house cats. They're amazing, and they've been a real treat to have around the building.
That's really fun.
Yeah, it's been cool.
That's really cool. So we're talking about Daniel. Now, folks come to Sight and Sound and they see Daniel.
Yep.
You do them every day of the week except Monday, right?
Yep.
You do shows?
Except Sunday and Monday.
Sunday and Monday. And so a lot of people have the opportunity to go, but not everyone does. And because of that, you're making it possible to live stream it, to see it live in the movie theaters. Tell us how that's all happening.
Yeah, so it's again, it's a first time experience. So first time we're ever live streaming a performance into movie theaters. They've got tons of cameras that are going to be set up. We're rehearsing the whole week leading up. Prepping for all of that, all of the details that are going to go into the production. Ryan Miller is going to actually be producing and directing that from the
very cool.
Yeah, from the production vans and trucks and whatnot. He's like, he has the better terms, but that's what's going to be going on. It's going to be a big to-do. But there are so many details in this show that are easy to miss, actually, if you're in the audience, unless you're a few rows back. But most people who come see the show don't actually get that few rows back experience, right? They're up in the back or they're, mid-level. And so that's honestly something that we're really excited to show is you can get up close with some of these details, and you get to see these costumes. You get to see, we've got a really cool dragon, like a puppeteered dragon that we use in a big production number. We've got fire, and you just get to an up close look at these little details that are put into even the sets. We have, I'm going to get this number wrong because I can never remember it, but it's over 1,000 hand-rolled scrolls that went into these sets.
Wow.
Because it's Babylon, and it's a lot of places of learning and education. And so there are these massive libraries that we've built, and sure, you can see it from the audience, but to be able to pan it, I'm just so happy for our props team and everybody who spent all that time.
To show their handiwork.
Yes, all the carving in the sets and the specific painting that was done. So that's, especially when so much effort was put into those details, we're so excited to share those. And the actors' faces, honestly,
get to see them up close.
Yes, you get to see their bodies and you get to hear their voices, and but to actually get some close-ups of these really intentional and meaningful choices that they're making, it's going to be nice to honor the work that way.
Yeah, so what are the dates that folks could see it in the movie theaters?
Yeah, so August 30th is the live stream. So that's the night you want to catch if you can. But there are additional showings up until September 2nd.
Okay, and only in theaters, not at home.
Right, only in theaters.
Right.
Yep, only in movie theaters.
And where can people find out where it's playing and how to get tickets?
DanielEvent.com. Another bonus to catching this in theaters is that they are going to show a preview of Sight and Sound's next film. So if you're familiar with I Heard the Bells and you've been waiting anxiously for the next movie, you get to find out a little bit more about it.
And there's going to also be some extra things like behind the scene things too?
Yeah, some behind the scenes stuff. Now, I hope... Now, I have some things I would love to see behind the scenes in action, because as the producer, as the writer, you're in the room for rehearsals, you're helping lead rehearsals, but at the same time, you're not backstage. So I've gotten to shadow a couple of times with our stage management, and there are some crazy changes, massive set shifts, all kinds of things. I hope people get to see some of that.
Somebody showed me a video of some of your crew that had to be on this side of the stage, and then they have to go and run down a hallway under the stage to get to the other part of the stage, the opposite side, and how they've got like 20 seconds to get there, and they're literally running in their costumes.
It's a whole choreographed dance back there. Everybody has your
and that's the kind of stuff I love. Like you're saying, I like to kind of watch that stuff. That's kind of fun.
Should be fun for people. Yeah.
Well, check it out online. DanielEvent.com is the place. Kristen, thank you for joining us today. We loved having you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, best to you. Here's Third Day, Victorious on WJTL. Good morning.